me and also on YouTube. So here we go, man.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Roland, what's up, man? Great to see you and great to meet you or have you today.
I know. I'm glad we. When was the last time? I think I saw you guys. Probably Fuse last year, right?
It was I can't remember where it was, but I remember just chat with you, and it's got a great feeling about you and how you do business. You gave me some great tips. I just really wanted to learn more about you and kind of figure out what you've been up to. I've been watching you on Facebook. So you guys are finally building a home. Is that right?
We are. Yeah. We've. It's funny. We actually have. So I sold my primary residence 5 years ago. So when I met my wife, I told her straight up right when we met. I said, "Hey, my dream is to travel full time. It's just living out of Airbnbs, because when I was a kid, I always wanted to travel, and I started realizing, man, this world's huge. It would take a lifetime to see it all. I mean, there's no way, even if you went on 5 vacations a year, you couldn't see it all. So I was like, all right, well, what if I lived on a nonstop vacation? And so I set up my life and hired CEOs who still run my businesses to this day in Portland, Oregon. And so, we head out, and we've been traveling ever since, living out of Airbnbs.
That's incredible. We're all watching in envy, trying to figure out how you do that.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you this. It is far more glamorous than it. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I don't regret it.
Right.
But there is something that all of us take for granted that you would not be able to, that you would not know until you lost it, which is this sense of community. It's just it's strange to not belong anywhere. It's just weird. And then you make friends, and then you leave, and then we're 3 months in Costa Rica, and then we make friends, and then we leave, and then we're 3 months in Paris, France. We make friends and we leave. It's just a very it's not really human. And it starts to wear on you. So you guys can be as jealous as you want, and you guys are welcome to try it, but it eventually got to come to an end. But yeah, we're finally building a house, man. We bought the lot in October of 21. So it's just slowly chugging along.
It looks like quite a house too.
Yeah, I didn't hold back.
You did not hold back.
We're way over budget by a lot. I'm not even going to say the number because it makes me sound like an idiot. But I want what I want, and so I'm building it.
It's awesome, man. And that comes from, I was reading a little bit about you, and you were talking about, kind of like help me put the pieces together about you and how you became a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I can't remember what year it was. Sorry, I didn't write this down. But you realized that, you were working hard, trying to get referrals from people, and really you realized that you were like everybody else. Then you made this switch. What was that switch you made?
So I saw it, and every single person can resonate with what I'm about to say, because we all have seen this. I was really lucky. I went to my first conference when I was 16 years old. Okay. I had just a weird chain of events. I met some owners, and I was like, wow, this would be really cool to have my own business. And they were like, hey, their national conference is actually going to be up in Seattle. I grew up in Portland there. It's actually going to be up in Seattle. This never happens. You should go. Mm-hmm. So I went, and then I ended up going every single year since. So the reason I bring that up is when you're 16 and you don't own a business, and you're at a conference full of a bunch of business owners, they see the conference through the lens of their own needs.
Right.
For me, I had no needs. I'm pure. I'm a neutral party. I have no idea. I really have no idea what's going on. Yeah, so I saw totally different things. Yeah. And what I saw was something that all of us have seen before, but we've never quite thought about it like I was thinking about it. I noticed these 40 individuals at the conference who were totally different than everybody else. They spoke on stage, a lot of them. They always had a group of people gathered around them, introducing themselves, taking selfies together. And so I noticed these people, and I was like, and they just look happy. They're just happy. But here's the thing that I noticed. Mm-hmm. I would come to find out that they were a lot of the heavy hitters. They had a lot of really successful businesses. Their numbers were just insane. But they were always in the lobby when everyone else was in the sessions taking notes. And so I started thinking, I was like, hold on a second. How come everybody in the lobby who's aspiring to be like them or so sorry, everybody in the room who's aspiring to be like the people out in the lobby, how come they're in there taking notes and they're not?
Right.
And it just stuck with me. And so to your point, in 2016, when I found myself really back and sucked in with the, hate to say it, but the average folks doing average things, I was like, whoa. This was never the plan. I wanted to be one of them. And so that was when the switch happened. I started to realize there was a difference between the two. Most people are marketing what they sell. Those guys were not marketing what they sell. They were being themselves. They were never pushing their product. They were just becoming known, collaborating with others, thinking about cool things, trying to use their problem solving in areas that it really thrived. I mean, they're it sounds a little woo woo, but I mean, they were really using their like life force to do really neat, unique and cool things. And that became their personal brand rather than being one more loan officer or one more real estate agent. They were not one more. They were them. And that brand, it is the most magnetic brand you can have.
That's amazing. I mean, it's hard because I know I'm missing the point, right? And I'm hearing what you're saying, because you also wrote in there, I mean, this is great. This is why I was so excited to hear this. Value, right? And that is, I can't remember the exact quote, but you're like, that's crazy. It's like, enough of the value. Nobody wants your value. It was almost embarrassing when you look back at the value, right? And that's what we're taught as loan officers, is to create value. Help me understand, so I'm a loan officer and I'm speaking as if whoever's listening to. So I'm a loan officer. We all have rates. We all have the process. I don't understand the brand because it seems like everybody's a little bit different than you, where they're saying you're not special, get a system, but you're saying you are special. Does that make sense?
So here's the reason people have a hard time with what I teach and the way I'm saying it, even though everyone knows I'm right. That's the funny part. It's like, they know I'm right. They'll see my keynote and they'll love they'll be like, yeah, that's spot on. But then there's like this, but he's the only one saying it. So I'm not, so I'm going to go back to the other stuff.
Totally.
Here's how I'll sum it up for you so you can understand.
Please.
The word economy comes from the Latin term meaning scarcity. That's what it comes from. So an economy is formed when the people feel a scarcity that they want to resolve. So back in the day, it was basic needs, safety, cleanliness, food, warmth. And so, you didn't want a Rolex. You wanted I wanted a fireplace, right? I mean, so that was that time. And then we migrated into the Industrial Revolution where there was no shortage of, we had vaccines. Life's getting pretty good. Now it's luxuries. It's trying to, a can opener. It's, these things are making life easier, right? And so that was what everybody wanted was, I want the car that doesn't break down. I want the home that doesn't break. So then we keep migrating through chasing the scarcity. And this has been going on and on. The connection economy was all about pairing a person with a problem to a business with a solution. Then we went through this really weird economy, which was the last one we were in, which was a status-based economy. So we saw brands really, really matter, and status was just the big thing. Everyone was trying to earn respect. Mark Zuckerberg was a genius. He saw this need and he created a platform so people could be seen, that was what was really wanting right now, was people were wondering, do I matter? Who cares about me? What's my place in this world? So we keep chasing these scarcities. But in a world where we have no lack of resources, no lack of connection, no shortage of platforms to express ourselves, there's one scarcity that remains. And it's a strong sense of self, a purpose. So it would make sense that when we're in a world where there's no shortage of fancy TCA bomb things, and you're getting emails from your dentist, your physical therapist, your loan officer, it's when I talk to a loan officer and they're always telling me, oh, Roland, I have my marketing on point. My branding's on point. I always chuckle about that because it's like, well, let me guess, you're blasting out your home bot. You're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. It's just, so they say, oh, my marketing game's on point. And it's like your marketing game of showing everyone you're a loan officer, which they already knew, and you're talking about the same thing. So my point of all of it is, value is no longer scarce. It's everywhere. Every loan officer, even the loan officer who's only done 2 loans in their life, has fancy TCA video with a fish tank behind him in his podcast studio. It's like, so that's no longer, you're not getting bonus points for that anymore. So that's why I'm saying everyone's like, lead with value, lead with value. I think we're forgetting something. We're in professional services where you sell the same product that a ton of other people sell. So stop acting like you sell this exclusive shampoo or this, like, we got to just own the fact that in the end, people pick the loan officer that they like, not the loan, not the offering, not the product. It's just, that's the facts of professional services. The people who win, the thing, and here's the last thing I'll say to prove my point. You go on MMI or whatever ranking system you want to look at, and you look at the number 1 loan officer in every city. I bet you they're selling some of the highest rates in the country, and they're still number 1. And that's my point, is don't sit here and tell me that, like, it's they choose the loan officer, not the product.
You're right. You're 100% right on that.
So if you're going to spend your time doing something, why waste it educating them on a buy down when you could spend your time showing people who you are, what you care about, what you've overcome? I mean, why get people together and talk about buy downs when you could get a group of people together and say, hey, let's talk about this entrepreneurial struggle. Let's have like let's just be humans together. Right. Because that's what's scarce right now. It's not buy down talk and happy hours and CE classes. That's not a scarcity anymore. People, if I want a solution, I just pop onto YouTube and find it. But if you're going to tell me a solution in the middle of my day where I'm just trying to take a load off and scroll and waste some time on social, I'm just not sure that's great branding.
That's amazing. So you basically just labeled everything I do, and you're like, let's take that and let's knock it off the table. And I'm totally okay with that.
And I'm not saying that it didn't work. I'm just saying it's no longer scarce. So, and we have to understand, and that's the reason I went on and on and on about that story of how we've migrated as people. Direct mail mattered. People looked at it at one point. I don't know what it was. I was, by the time I was born, no one looked at it, but there was a time where people looked at it. And now they don't care. And so just like that, we have to understand that as valuable as value sounds like, there is going to be a time where it's not scarce anymore, which means it's value. The only, like, again, if diamonds were everywhere, if I could just pick one up on the ground outside, they would become less valuable. So we have to understand value is based off of scarcity. And so if there's no shortage of financial tips, there's no shortage of information, you have to understand it's going to become less valuable. It's just the facts.
I'm scaredly admitting you're right, because now, like, I'm feeling a little insecure. So let's see.
So here, let me speak to that though. And a lot of people listening to this are feeling the same way. Let me speak to it. If I was you, because I've met you before and have hung out with you and your wife, if I was you, I would not be scared, because you are, if anything, it's the opposite. You are perfectly positioned with all the work that you get, because I follow you guys. I know what you're up to with the amount of money that you've poured into self-discovery, to self-actualization, to a strong sense of self, a strong sense of direction, to controlling your own life, to living it intentionally. You guys have built what everyone, because what's scarce is everything I just said. So if you have what everyone wants, which is a strong sense of purpose, a strong sense of self, you have the asset that is going to thrive in the purpose economy. So you have nothing to be scared about. I would just say, instead of marketing, here's the best sentence I'm going to say, and this is the truth. Marketing doesn't make any money. If everyone's listening, write that down. Marketing doesn't make any money. Marketing gets eyeballs. And if we're in professional services, we're getting the eyeballs on us. And if they see a loan officer, you're toast. I mean, it's just, you just did all this marketing for no reason. What you need to do is get the eyeballs and then show them somebody that's remarkable, noteworthy, and unusually great. Because if they don't see that, and that's why I said you and your wife are going to be fine, because the two of you, it doesn't take me long looking at the two of you to say they're unique, remarkable, and unusually great.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. But like, okay, so now I'm bought in, right? So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, Paul, what's your next move? So what would be a next move? So now I'm feeling you. So now how do you create that brand? So
great question. I mean, that's and for those who don't know me, InDesign is my coaching program. And the reason that I only take 30 people on at a time is because what we're talking about, if anyone hasn't picked up on it, is this ain't just this mastermind where I have 200 people come to it and I preach from a stage and tell you what to post and stuff. You got to understand, if the new scarcity is a sense of self, you got to understand that has to come out of you, and it has to be real. It can't be fake, because that's the other thing is human. I can tell when you're just saying stuff that Grant Cardone says. I can tell that. Humans have I can tell when you're speaking from a place of something that matters to you, or when you're just regurgitating things. Most loan officers are sausages. They're just a blend up mixture of everybody they've met into a casing, and they just look like a sausage, and they're just uninteresting.
Very true.
So to answer your question, what do we do? Where do we start? Here's the way I can summarize this up nicely. Yeah. The doing has become really, really easy. So what I mean by this is, look at this microphone. I'm an idiot. I have no idea about technology or anything.
Right.
I got online and found a microphone because I didn't want to have to plug it into the wall because of our travel lifestyle. So I had to plug into my thing. And now I have this stupid microphone. I have this silly $19 light thing. I got this camera that I paid absurd amounts of money for because during the time I bought it, there was like shortage because of COVID. Anyways, my point of all of it is, the doings become easy. If an idiot like me can just plug all this crap into my computer, and now I'm like this content creator. And then there's editors on Fiverr, and there's editing that you can do on your own phone for the reels. Yes, they're making the doing really, 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 really easy. So what once was really difficult is now not. And so my advice is, we need a platform to be seen, to be heard, to express ourselves. Mm-hmm. So build that. It does not take long. So when people come to my coaching program, first thing we do is, okay, build your platform. What's it look like? If they have one built, what sucks? What can we change? Right. So let's get that platform, and let's not think about it, because that's the thing that it drives me crazy. Is most loan officers, they obsess about the marketing, the delivery of the brand, but not the brand. It's always the delivery. Oh, I'm going to get a Bonzo. It's always the delivery. The delivery to if I just spend enough money and swipe my card enough to get enough things, that's the delivery of the brand. But we need to focus on the brand, and that's what everyone forgets, is they're just pushing a loan officer. And so finally, when someone sees them, it's just like, you look like everybody else. There's no compelling reason. So that would be my first advice: is get the doing to the point where it's not even a thought. It's like, okay, I post this on Tuesdays. I post this on Thursdays. I post this the following Tuesday. Like, you have a posting cycle that you like. Okay, that gives people an accurate representation of my brand. Then here's the complicated part. And then again, we can talk about it if we want to talk about it. I'm just going to touch on it because it's a whole another discussion, which is cool. You got you built the platform to be seen, to be heard, to express yourself. Then that's where what we do in InDesign is the heart. And that's why we have 3 in-person retreats. And you guys, if you've seen the videos, they're very elaborate, nice retreats. Because we need to do some heavy work. We have to define, I call it InDesign for this reason, because I believe every single person has been designed to solve a very specific problem for a very specific group of people. And the chances of it being in mortgage are low. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I'm saying stop being a loan officer. I mean, go do whatever that thing is and do loans. Right? Because in the end, you're probably designed to, I don't know what you're designed for, but the chances of it being dishing out loans is low. So it could be, I hate child trafficking. So go do the thing to do stuff to cut down on child trafficking and human trafficking, and still be a loan officer. So now you're known as this individual who's doing in your purpose. Right. And if I'm a realtor, and I'm going to refer to somebody, am I going to refer to that loan officer who just sends me 2-day-old cookies from a cookie shipping facility? Or I'm going to go to this guy who I go to his gala 3 times and his fundraiser 3 times a year. And he has these, he's bringing these speakers in to speak about. That's just cool. It's like, wow, I'm so glad he's doing that and leaving his mark on this world. So that's the best way I can describe it, is you got to figure out what you've been called to do. Turn that into your brand, and then use your broadcasting platforms to, speak to your expert positioning as a loan officer, but also let's show people who you are as well.
Right. So what you're saying is, so if I'm hearing you, so during your retreats, what you do is you really try to get people to see their true purpose in life. And it's probably not loans, and it's okay. right?
Yes.
Right. And then so once you find that true purpose, there's a inner fire that kind of sparks is when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, you just become a different person. You have different energy and stuff like that. And what you're saying is that kind of creates, you use that as your brand in a sense, and that creates, I hate to say referrals, but I truly think that's what you're saying.
Well, in the end, think about it. We're in
Right.
like, let's go back to what we said. We're in
Right.
professional services. So
Right.
the only thing that differentiates you from the next person, from the next person, the next person.
Yeah.
I know in professional services, we
Right.
all are like, oh, I'm so different than Mike and I'm so
Right.
much better than this guy. I
Right.
know like we all think that, but I'm
Right.
just telling you right now, as a neutral third party, as somebody
Right.
who is not a dentist,
Right.
I don't give it. I have no idea the difference between. He could say all that stuff on his website. I would have no idea if that's a better dentist or not. I just don't care. I don't know. I'm not going to do the research to know. Very few people are. So if we're in professional services, they're choosing you. So are you like, if every single video is about a concession and a buy down and a graph about what's going on with the Fed, and it's just, I know nothing about you at all. And so I'm really, and we all know the saying, right? People choose people they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
None of that whole thing you just did allows me to know you or like you.
Right.
To me, trust happens after someone knows you and likes you, before they start to give it to you. So I don't even think you're gaining in that category. So if we know it's know, like, and trust, my question is, what in the earth are you guys doing? Because I'll tell you, most of y'all, when I see your stuff, it is so boring and uninteresting. I end up unfollowing a lot of you, not because I don't like you. It's just so annoying to follow you because you just don't shut up about mortgage stuff. And I just don't know anyone who cares about that.
Yeah, I unfollow myself too. It gets old. I will tell you that. So here's the thing. I got to ask this, man, because I actually love what you're saying, because like a couple of weeks ago we did an interview where we talked about, so Tony Robbins talks about, everyone has the same strategy, but the reason why certain people are successful is because their state and their story. And I think that's kind of what you're hinting at, is that you really help people find their true story in life. And once they are on their path, things become much easier. How do I explain that to a loan officer that is in the grind right now, trying to get their next loan?
So you have to understand. No, it makes sense. And what we have to understand too is that when we're looking at, so every single human, they have their unique differences and their purpose, sure, and their unique stuff that they're going to do during their time here on this world. So that's true. However, we're all the same in a sense that we desire safety first and our physiological needs, right? And then from there, we want to belong, we want to feel connected, we want to feel loved, we want to feel heard, right? And then from there, we seek esteem, right? So we want to be respected, we want to be invited to speak on stage, like you did with your sexy new hat that you bought. We all want these things to happen. We want to be seen with that cool hat on the stage, which I saw you wear it up there. It was you looked really sharp. But there's this thing that so we all have these needs. And so what I would say is, as a leader, so if you're leading or recruiting or whatever, you have to acknowledge where their deficits are, because at the top is self-actualization. So it's a need, and it's a need that we have every time. So that's the common misconception when people see that triangle, is that it's like a hierarchy or a video game. No, you have all 5 needs at all times. The bigger the surface area of that need, it demands more attention away from you to get it met. And so at the bottom, physiological, that's why, unfortunately, as sad as this to say, and this is why Tony has shifted his kind of his efforts more towards this, is unfortunately there's massive amounts of the world who all of their attention is just trying to frickin' drink and eat. And so they don't even worried about safety. They don't even know if they're going to live to tomorrow. Right. And so then if you're lucky enough and you're in a country that's solved that, you are right. So it's based off of where your attention goes. So my point is, if you're leading, recruiting, trying to motivate others, trying to get somebody to care about something, that you have to understand where they're struggling. And a lot of people, let's say a younger loan officer, a developing loan officer, struggling really with safety, honestly. And so it's pretty low if you look at it. They're not even sure. Like, I don't even know how to do my freaking job. I don't even know how to get a deal. Right. So their attention is just like, okay, hey, I'm only going to care about whatever you're saying if I'm going to get a loan from it. And so you have to meet, as a leader, you have to meet them there and say, okay, so now when I phrase, because I know a lot of you guys are struggling right now with your safety needs, just given the conditions of the way things are right now.
Yeah.
I can still get my point across from branding and marketing. I just have to acknowledge that right now where your attention is focusing really on safety. It's like, hey, bro, I'm not even worried about my purpose. Like, I need to get a loan. And I understand that. And so I'm going to meet you there with that. But I'm also telling you, we're in an economy now where you're not going to be able to swipe your credit card and get any credit for any of that. So it's just like, I get it where you want to be safe, but the new safety zone is not in that. The new safety zone is being the most impeccable individual in the room. That's how you're going to win the referrals.
That's awesome. Hey, we have a question here. And I think it goes back. It says, what about the fact, this goes to the videos that you were talking about. And I don't know who asked this, but they said, what about the fact that people really care about themselves, not you? So
they ultimately they do. Ultimately, they do. That's one thing that in my masterminds is one thing that Jeff Walker's he's friends with Tony. Jeff Walker's, I'm in his mastermind, and that's one thing that he said. Remember, no one cares about you. And this is true-ish in a sense that they don't necessarily care about your agenda. But I disagree with that statement when most people say it. I think they care about you. Here's my proof with this. Every single Disney movie starts with the princess singing about what she wants to become. Every single one. I'm telling you, rewind them all and watch them. The opening scene is the Disney character singing about, hey, one day I'm not going to be treated like this crap anymore. I'm going to become somebody. I'm going to change. I'm going to make this change. People are going to come to me for this. So the reason that the writers do that is the second she tells us about what she wants to become and what she's going to do with her life, we are all bought in. We all care. So I agree with that statement in a sense that your agenda of getting loans and wanting people to do whatever it is that you want to do, I do agree that they don't care about your agenda. I understand that. But when I have an agenda and I want every single loan officer to make money the way that I've learned how to make money because it's just fun and it's easy and it's fulfilling and it's rewarding. I don't run around preaching that and forcing them to do it. I instead talk about how I'm loving my own life and the lessons that I have learned. And I actually think people care because when I meet people, I find people are actually really quite interested in me because because the spotlight's not on my agenda. The spotlight, I'm just doing my jam, homie. I'm not doing it to impress nobody. I'm doing it for me. And I think if you focus on you doing you with no other agenda, I actually think people do care.
Right. Agree. And I will say this too. I was kind of thinking about this while you were talking. Danielle and I indirectly, it wasn't intentionally, but we did a lot of nonprofit stuff. We support a lot of causes that are really dear to us, like Camp Akaizu. We did 100 Marin, and we found a lot of what's what I'm looking for. We found a lot of gifts. I'm looking at it right now. She's at the cross, by doing that. And we posted a lot about that and not with any intention of getting business, but just an intention of sharing something that we cared about and loved about. And I will say the byproduct of that, we didn't know, was a lot of people were watching and they wanted to be connected with us. And I'm certainly not saying that from an ego, like people are calling us, but when you run into them in the streets, they're always like, hey, that's so great what you're doing. And that's not our intention of doing it. But I got to say, when you're doing stuff that you love and it's bringing out the best version of you, people want to be around that.
So you bring up a good point. And I think if you've probably heard me talk about this, because I have talked about it a lot in the last 2 months, I believe the new, in every economy, everyone's always looking for something in someone they're going to hire or somewhere they're going to work, whatever. I think because we're in an abundance world where there's just so much of basically everything, I think the new magnifying tool is, what is this individual's intent? So anytime you make a post, anytime you say something, I think we've always wondered this, but I think in a world of abundance now, and trust is at an all-time low because everybody owns a private jet somehow. No one trusts anyone anymore because you can't. I mean, you just can't. It's like they all have Ferraris, they all have Rolexes, they all have private jets. Apparently, everyone's like the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
So trust is at an all-time low. So now I think people now they look at a new lens. They say, what is this individual's intent? Why did they post this? Why did they say this? Why did they do that? And because of that, I think, we're smart people. We can really pick up on the intent of things. Is this person flexing and posturing, or are they actually just sharing this because it's important? I mean, there are things that I own and do that I do not post because I don't want to be someone who I don't want to contribute to, hey, you need to own these things so you could be cool and happy or whatever. So there are things that I don't share with the public that are pretty freaking awesome. But I don't show people because I just don't want to, I don't want to teach a young man who is watching me that he needs to buy that to be happy, because that's not the case. So it's to your point and to the question's point, your intent behind it, as long as it's coming from a really pure place. No one, I don't think anyone's mad at me for building this absurdly awesome house. I don't think anyone's mad at me for doing it, and I'm not posting it to be better than anyone. I'm posting it because I want to build that house, and I've wanted to for a really long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So so where do we start here? So I need two pieces of advice. One for the new person.
Yes.
That is struggle. I love how you put it. They're in their safety. Is that what you call their safety zones?
Yeah. I mean, right now that's where, because that's being threatened, that's where they're paying attention to. So if they're going to listen to somebody's advice or pay attention to something, it's going to be to solve that area.
100%. Right. Now, what is something that you would say to them directly that could help them in their business?
Right now in mortgage? Mm-hmm. Where it is at right now, honestly, I posted, I think I might have said this the other day publicly. I think I did. No, I mean, actually, that's not true. I think it was just within my clients. Honestly, if you're not doing the things that I teach, I don't know what you're doing, and I worry about your future. And it's really not difficult. My advice would be put a pause on marketing. And I'm not talking about a long time, maybe just a day or two, but just kind of stop for a second, clear your mind. Don't make any calls. Because remember, all marketing does is get eyeballs. It doesn't make any money. It gets eyeballs. And then the person you are is going to dictate how successful those marketing attempts are going to be. That's how it works. So my advice for somebody just starting out or restarting would be stop for a second, craft the person that you want to brand, then broadcast it. Right. So think about it. Marketing is just getting eyeballs on your personal brand. So that's what I'm saying. Start first with, okay, let's craft the brand in a way that I want it to look, that makes an impact. Then we start finding ways to get eyeballs on it and get it seen. That's what I would say.
So like, I'm the brand. Is that where you're like, so I have to
unfortunately in mortgage, you're the brand. Yes.
Yeah. That's tough. So what I need to do is think about like what I want people to see of me, right? What do I want to portray out there? What are the things I want to say? So question for you. I did this video the other day. I was so sick and tired of doing videos. I just said, I don't even care. I'm just going to sell my soul because I needed to laugh. And it really isn't my brand. It's not it actually is who I am, but it's not really what I want to be. I don't know how to explain that. I don't even remember where I was going with that, but I guess what you're saying is that I need to sit down and really figure out every video I do, what do I want people to see about me? The giving Paul, education Paul, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, it's Jeff, one of the things that he said at our last mastermind was every single thing you post and do either enhances your status or harms your status.
Right.
Okay. And, because in our businesses, it's really, there's not a whole lot, in coaching and mortgage. I mean, really your business is nothing. I know it sounds really hard to hear, but the truth of the matter is the business is you, your thoughts, your personality, that's really the business is that whole thing. And so it would make sense that there is a pretty big, what you do, what you post, what you say actually has a pretty big impact because it
Yeah, for
sends a
sure.
message saying,
Yeah.
I am this. And you just got to make sure here. And here's something that's going to upset a lot of people watching this
Love it.
is most of you are marketing a very average personal brand. A lot of the things I see, there's no. It's funny. They think it's probably enhancing their brand. In my opinion, if I'm a top 5% realtor, which by the way, they're the only ones doing any business right now. If I'm a top 5% realtor, which are entrepreneurs, right? They have coaches, multiple coaches. They go to the conferences. If you call them and say, "Hey, I can't wait to help you grow your business," they're going to laugh their faces off, because the last time I had somebody outside of my industry call me and want to like blow up my business, I just hang up, and it's laughable. So don't take that advice. I know a lot of coaches are telling you to do that. Please don't. Not in the top 5% realtors. Call the poor ones. They'll say yes all time. A top 5% realtor, they have a coach who they're paying massive amount of money to help them. They don't want a loan officer to do that. So it's when I see these videos, to me, I think it harms your brand because you just look like you just look like one of those.
Right.
And back in the day, it wasn't harmful because there wasn't a lot of content. Now, when every loan officer is posting videos, it's like, oh yeah, you're one more LO who does that. So again, I'm starting to wonder, is it really helping you? Is it helping you locally? I'm not sure.
Right. That's a tough one though. That's tough though, is you don't really know, because as you said, you think it is, but it's not. I mean, I guess that's something.
Here's what I'd say to that.
Does that make sense?
Here's what I would say to that is put your if you consider yourself a top 5%er, put yourself in your shoes.
Right.
What do you like? Who do you refer to? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't refer to the guy who cold calls me. You're dead to me if you do that. Do not wait. Like, I don't like that is just something you don't do to me. I'm like, I will switch to a new provider if you do that, to call it check in. It's just, don't call an entrepreneur and check in on him. If you think about yourself, if you're a top 5%er, what would you want to have happen? What would you consider valuable to the point where you would send that referral? And the fact of the matter is nothing to do with you sending me an email about a buy down strategy. It just, that is not, I'm probably going to flag it as spam and try to unsubscribe. And a lot of you guys do this to me, and there's no unsubscribe button, which is illegal and so annoying. Think about it. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. So that's why a lot of people are struggling. It's like, is it valuable? I'm like, I don't know. To me, use your brain, put yourself in a top 5%er's seat, and look at how you look. You look desperate. You look, I don't know. To me, I don't follow the right. I've always marketed to the top 5%. I just like doing that. It's so much more lucrative when you land them. They're nice. I don't need to send them anything. They would actually prefer to not hear from me. I just need to do my job really, really well and go golf from time to time. And it's a very pleasant place. And I'm just saying, I'm friends with them, and they make fun of people who do a lot of this stuff. And I know it sounds harsh, but just use your brain to think about the top 5%. And because I think a lot of loan officers are struggling right now, because the bottom 95% were responding to a lot of that stuff, and they have no deals right now. And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, my cold calling stopped working. It's like, well, you know why? They because this person doesn't want to be cold called, and they certainly don't want to come to your free webinar, and they certainly don't want to have you grow their business and bug their database. I mean, these are just things that top 5% are not interested in.
I agree. One of the emails I've been getting a lot is, hey, Paul, I'm just going to move this up your email chain. That drives me nuts, because I know it's fake. You know what I mean? It drives me nuts. So, I don't know, what would you do how would you attack a 5% realtor? What would your strategy be?
Simple. I mean, because think about it. What's valuable to a top 5%er? I mean, and all of you could probably say this and say the right answer. Well, that's not true. You'd say a bunch of wrong answers. And then after I told you they're wrong, you would say, yeah, that's stupid. I know it's wrong. I mean, think about it. What do they consider valuable?
God, I'm scared now after what you just said. It's going to be stupid. Communication. I think they think that communication.
So let me rephrase it and give you another chance to answer.
Yeah, I know.
As a top 5% realtor, I know who the top 10, top 20 LOs are in my area. I already know. I know just looking at you or from your reputation, like, so I have you in the top 20. I'm not even going to consider referring to anybody else. It's just, I'm not going to, it's too risky for my business, too risky for my clients. I know these 20 will deliver in a really phenomenal way. I'll know they'll communicate. So I already know communication is going to be on point because that's how the top 20 LOs in the city roll. I know they have the technology because the top 20 all have the tech. I know they're going to do whatever it takes to, like, I already know this about the top 20. So now answer, because I wasn't even going to consider referring to somebody who didn't do any of those things.
My truthful answer, what I truly believe, is because this goes off my experience where, you know, I'm lender A, there's a lender B out there. My rates are way better than lender B's. It's just what it is. But they refer him because he creates relationships with them. That's the answer, which is I tell everybody what's valuable to a top 5%er: friendship, a feeling. I mean, like when I think about it, when I think about who I refer to right now, I refer to one of them's this Deanna lady, and she's so weird, and she's old and dresses funny, but man, I like her. She's got all these churches that she does. She's just I just like her. She's a good person. And right. So like, that's why I refer to her, period. So my point of all this is what they consider valuable. It has nothing, like all of the stuff that LOs are doing with their content and their CE classes, like as a top 5%er, I don't consider those things valuable to me. You want to know my honest answer? Yeah, please. I work with people who aspire to the same thing I'm aspiring to. All right, fair enough. I 100% agree, because there is an energy difference between the top 5 and everybody else. That is 100% true. Yeah. Do you, if I see you, that's what I'm saying. Everyone's like, well, what do I post? True. What do I post? It's like, well, do you spend $500,000 on self-improvement like you and I do? Like literally, like every year I'm spending like 250 grand on self-improvement. It's crazy. Like, talk about that. Because that's cool. Like, I'm in this mastermind, I'm learning this, I'm in this group, I'm learning this, I'm surrounding myself by, like, what that does is it sends up a flare to anyone else who does that. Like, I knew right when I met you and your wife or just following you, you're my people. I already knew it. Knew it because I've seen what you guys do and how you choose to invest your money and invest in yourselves. I was like, those are my kind of people. See what I'm saying? So imagine with marketing, if you're going after the top 5%, which they control all the referrals right now, imagine shooting up a flare to your people. What would that flare be? And a lot of it is, hey, I'm in the gym every day early. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, journaling and getting my thoughts out. Like, do things that your people would do. And that's how you basically say, oh, you're one of. So Seth Godin writes a book called This Is Marketing. And this is how he sums up marketing. Yeah. People like us do things like this. Yeah. And, you know, the shortest example of this to explain this would be when Mercedes does a commercial, they don't say, oh, we have such great gas mileage and our warranties are so great and our cars never break. They don't say any of that. It is a muted commercial of a guy going to the dealership. He gets a bow. He pulls up. It's this gorgeous house. Guy's a lawyer. He's got all his awards on. His sexy wife comes out. She sees the $120,000 Mercedes. She kisses him and says, oh my gosh, you're the best. You're the best husband ever. People like us do things like this. So who are people like us? Wealthy, hot wife, tons of money. I'll go buy a car cash. Like, so people like us who are, if we consider ourselves that guy, I now need to go do that for my wife for Christmas. So similar marketing as a loan officer, people like us do things like this. What do people like us do in the top 5%? We invest in self. We float in float tanks and meditate in float tanks. We jump in a cold bath until we realize that that's stupid and we don't want to do it anymore. Like we do all these things. That's what people like us do. We try stuff because we want to get better. So so how do you market to the top 5%? What do they consider valuable? In my opinion, they're only going to ever even pay attention to someone like them. So show your people. And again, the top 5% are not all blood-sucking, money-hungry, Ferrari driving. There's people in the top 5% who are just who crochet and don't actually do a ton of networking, right? So my point is, be you
so that the people who like someone like you can say, oh, they're for me.
Yeah. You know, you had this one post of all your posts. This was my favorite one. It may have been one, I may be meshing two of them.
Sure.
Right?
Go for it.
One is you celebrated 20 years in the gym.
Yeah, I started. And that's not just like in the gym. I did my first bodybuilding show when I was 15.
No
kidding. So yeah, I just turned 35 2 days ago. And yeah, my mom got me my gym membership on my 15th birthday. That's how I remember. And she had to drive me because I didn't have my license yet. But I have spent 20 years of hard in the gym. But yeah, I was a competitive bodybuilder for whatever, from 15 to 20, I think.
See, but to go to your point, what that connected to me was, this guy is consistent. That is what I drive. That's what I thrive to be, is consistent. You know what I mean?
And like I said, post, even if they don't share bodybuilding in particular, they may admire something about what it takes to do it. And that's my point, is just be you. Talk about when everyone's like, oh, what do I post? Like I teach we actually have 4 more spots for it. I shouldn't say that because it was supposed to be sold out, and it did sell out. But then the hotel called us and said, we lied. We actually can fit 4 more people in. So anybody listening to this and still wants to come on Denver, it's here in Denver at the end of September. You are literally, everyone's always like wondering, how do I brand myself? What are these? What do I say? What do I, in this 2-day event, we actually create these brand assets, and you literally leave knowing, okay, so here's the 6 post cycle. Yeah. This is like literally the genre of what those are going to look like, because a lot of people are hung up on it. And I get it. It can be a bit complex until you get the hang of it. And I've made it really, really brainless and easy to do.
I like brainless and easy. Let's talk about your programs and your coaching, if you don't mind. I mean, go as far as however you feel comfortable, because I'm always wanting to hear what's out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, do you just do retreats? Do you do personal coaching? Do you do group coaching?
Yeah. So it's for my programs are a very, very specific type of person who wants a solution to a very, very specific type of problem. So my people, they could close a loan in their sleep. They could scale a business in their sleep. It's not my people know how to close loans. They know how to hire an LOA and close more loans. I mean, that's just really isn't their struggle. Their new struggle is how I'm tired of doing it this way. And I'm losing everything that makes me who I am. I need to find a better way. And then they usually see my content, and I'm like, just find a way to broadcast who you are and profit off of that. I mean, that's what I do. My coaching program is full of people who just saw me broadcasting me doing Roland stuff and called me and said, hey, I heard you coach. What's it about? Right. And so that's what I'm saying is become the loan officer who does that, and then profit off of who you are. That way you don't have to. Now, I'm not saying you're going to work less than 40, 50 hours a week. Usually people who do what I do end up working still quite a bit. It just doesn't feel like work anymore, because every single thing you do, it's what you would be doing whether you got paid or not. So it's not a, you're getting interviewed on podcasts, you're speaking over here, you're hosting this thing, you're having this conversation with these people, you're collaborating with these people. I mean, your whole day is stuff that you would do even if you had unlimited money. And that's really where you want to get. So those are my people. That's what InDesign tries to accomplish. My belief is that every single person has been designed to solve a specific problem for a specific group of people on this earth. I believe that. Right. Tony does Tony stuff, and he's good at it, and he serves a very specific type of person who wants the delivery in that way. Then there's Brene Brown. She's found her little people spoken to in that fashion. So there's always a group of individuals who need what you do in some capacity. It could be other entrepreneurs who use you. Like, I don't know what it is that you do. So what we developed in InDesign was this cool formula. It's called the InDesign formula. And it's funny. I didn't develop it to coach. I developed it for me because I was trying to figure out what the heck I was made to do. And so I went to all these coaching programs, and it still was no closer. A lot of brilliant stuff. Don't get me wrong. Amazing programs. But I was no closer because it was like, cool, I love that. Cool, I love that. Cool, I love that. And what's that mean? And
Right.
so I developed the InDesign formula, and here's the difference. It's a bunch of the other stuff that I've learned. So I didn't necessarily invent any of it. The difference is we look at everything through the context of how you have been using your design thus far, because that's the thing. You were born with your design, born with it. So your whole life you've had this purpose and these unique abilities, and you've been doing your best thus far to do it. The problem is we don't live in a world that prioritizes you using your uniqueness and your unique abilities to kill it. We don't. We live in a place that really wants you to shut up, make money, buy a home, buy a second home, buy German vehicles, save for your 401k, and then position your kids to do the same thing. So we don't live in a society that promotes you actually finding what that is and then bringing that into the world. It's not been a focus. So that's what InDesign is. I mean, a lot of my clients always tell me, Roland, we got to find a way to get this into the high schools. I'm like, I know. It's just I've tried, and the school system, they just have no interest in it. They're like, why would we teach that? And I'm like, because it's the only thing that matters. So how do we do it? In terms of delivery, we have 3 in-person events, which are really that's where all the magic happens. And they're small events. Like I said, if you guys want to see videos of them, it's on my site. But they're small, intimate, awesome events. Our next one's coming up in Nashville in the fall. We have dates for Cancun for the fall in January. And then I think we're coming back to a really cool venue out here after that. So we have the 3 in-person events. Then we do coaching in between. And then here's the cool part. So rather than just having coaching, which is awesome, and I'm a great coach, so that's fine. But here's the 2 things I did to arm my program the best. I have these 3 tracks that are running all the time, and those are more of like a group call, so everybody can come to those. Those we arm you with. We arm you with strategies. We arm you with the 3 tracks. One's how to become known, one's the person behind the personal brand, and the other third one is, am I basically moving as fast as I possibly can? So those are the 3 tracks. And so I'm arming you with a bunch of stuff so that when you're getting coached, you're armed with all this awesomeness. So you are constantly using that awesomeness and applying it to your business. And then the third one is I have this cool video app where we send video messages stored on the cloud back and forth to each other. And so basically you're being coached really 24/7, 7 days a week. Is it the most profitable program for me? Is it extremely difficult for me? Yeah. But in the same time, this was my dream. This was what I had when I was them. And so it's what I decided to do. And I love it.
That's awesome. How do people find out more information about that?
Easiest thing to do is reach out to me. I mean, it's a very difficult, because it's so individual. Very difficult thing to say, oh, you're going to get 10 more referral partners and you're going to get this strategy for Facebook. I mean, my top producers still don't use social.
Right.
And they're 200 million. They're one of them's at 130 million still in this market. So year to date, very impressive numbers. And
that's actually really great numbers.
It is huge.
Yeah,
well,
I'll tell insane.
You and I can talk about why. I'll tell you, there's a reason for it. And there's a really good reason for it. So don't be too impressed. But my point of all of it is it's hard for me to say this is what you're going to get, because in the end, the program's about what have you been designed to do? What do you want to do? How do you want to market yourself? Social, everyone's obsessed with social. It's cool, and it is a cool way, but I mean, all it is a way to get eyeballs. I mean, you can do the same with in person, and that's what most of my other people will do is they just do everything in person with boots on the ground. There's nothing wrong with that. So in the end, it's difficult to explain.
Is that me?
What you want to go for?
Hey, Roland, sorry. I just got cut off here. Forgive me, man.
Last sentence? You could maybe. I was just saying it's just reach out to me, because again, I don't force anyone to build anything or become someone that they don't want to be. It's all about the way that the angle you want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to summarize this conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what you do is you train people to become their best version of themselves, and as a byproduct of that, business will increase.
So I teach you how to get eyeballs on you, and then instead of creating a personal brand, create the person that you want to brand. That's why I love this. That's why I love this economy. It's the first economy ever where literally the way you crush it is by becoming an absolute savage, that the person that you've always like wanted to be. And then like you become that person, and all of a sudden you just like become like the person that everyone wants to be around, refer to. Like it's, you know, and everyone hears it and they struggle because they're like, oh, it can't be that easy, or it doesn't work that way. I'm like, use your brain. Who do you admire? You admire this absolute stud who's dialed, who's investing in this and acquiring that and fixing that and taking risks. Like those people have gotten the attention since the 40s. I mean, since the BC era. I mean, the ballers, the dialed individuals who are heart-centered have always won. I'm just saying now, instead of it being something that some people do, I think if you don't do it, I think you're just going to continue to struggle. The way this economy is going and what the new scarcity is, I think you're going to struggle harder and harder and harder as the time goes on.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I appreciate it. We have about 5 minutes. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I always like to end a little bit of time.
Yeah, if they do, I'm here for I'm a pretty accessible dude. I know
you are.
Everyone goes like, oh, you're busy. Nah, I'm not. I don't work that much.
That's fine, because this goes on YouTube and in our group. I'm sure people will reach out to you, man, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I got to tell you, you know, one thing as where we're at as a company is, you know, Danielle and I, we've really worked really hard. We've really put in the hours to create a business. But I do think we struggle with the brand. I do think we struggle with that next step, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think it's because people try to make a brand. And I think in professional services, and I get it, if you read every entrepreneur book, they always say, oh, don't make yourself the brand, because then you can't remove yourself, blah, blah, blah. And I get that, and that's true. So what I did to combat that with my business that I sold, I branded my employees then. So I branded, I took, like, when we had all of our one-to-manys and our expert positioning strategies and all of our things we were doing, I brought Grant with me. I brought Jessica with me so that they could become famous too, so that I could eventually not be there. So I get that. But in the end, we got to remember, in professional services, people are choosing the professional. People do business with people, not businesses. So it's I'm not saying don't try to find a way around that like I did, because you can find a way. But at the same time, everyone's always trying to like brand a professional service. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure it's possible.
Yeah. So Renee has a question here. What are the dates for the personal event?
Renee, I already sent you the invite, bro.
Come on, Renee. I love Renee's video.
Renee. So the in-person, are you talking about, he could be talking about so I have my ones for my clients, which the one in Nashville is the weekend before Halloween. And that one's going to be awesome. So yeah, if you're a client, you can come to that one. But I just started for the very first time having these other ones where I'm actually letting people buy tickets to it. And like I said, there are 4. That one in Denver is Thursday and Friday, September, I think 28th, 29th. So whatever that Thursday, Friday is. And we have 4 more tickets to that. Like I said, I'm sorry. I told everyone it was sold out, and I'm actually honoring that. I was going to eat shit on those 4 tickets because I want to be a man of my word when I told everybody it was sold out. But truth is, there are actually 4.
All right. There you go. All right. So here's a question for you. So is the best practice becoming proficient at being a loan originator first, then branding, or both at the same time?
So great. Really, really great question. I mean, in the end, you do need to deliver. So like, if you're like a brand new LO, like just understand, you need to deliver, in a big way, especially in a competitive market. I mean, you drop a ball in a file right now. That's not a good thing. So if you're a new LO, here's how I would respond to that. Make sure you are aligned and positioned with a seasoned LO or a company who will have your back. So if things start blowing up, you can really lean on your manager, your company owner. You can lean heavily on, but that's what I would do. If I was new, I would make sure that you're really well networked so that you can deliver. And then, but I wouldn't delay on your brand. I mean, I would immediately, your brand your marketing will be only as good as your brand. So you need to develop the brand. That's super, super important. But again, as a newer person, we cannot, you need to deliver. And that's why when I say what's my program for, I'm very, very clear. I am not going to help you become better at delivering on your loan delivery process. I just don't want to help with that problem. There's other coaches who can help you with that. But yeah, to answer your question, do both at the same time, but just for the new LO, be aligned. There are people who will help you crush it. I know a lot of people who own mortgage companies who will help you be really good at your job.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I got to tell you, we've been doing loans for 20 years and we still run into situations that's tough. And if we were brand new, I would have no idea how to handle the realtor, the client. I mean, it's
that's important stuff, because again, yes, you need the branding aspect's great for attracting the deals and the referrals. But to your point, you still need to make sure you deliver on the product. That is, we can't not think about that.
Right. And then can you give some examples of branding for new loan officers?
So again, people choose the person, not the loan product. And so I know it can be tough as a new LO. In the end, I promise you this, never in history, and anybody who's been in this industry for a long time or is older than 40, back in the day, to have people know you in the capacity that someone can know you now, it used to take 5 years, 10 years. You would have to go to every stinking event. I mean, it was hard to become known in the depth that it is now. Right now, if you follow, this is a whole nother conversation, but if you set up a strategy to basically put yourself on this platter and you do it really, 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 really well, you place that in front of people. So it really doesn't matter if you're new or not. They're getting to know who you are. So giving examples of branding for new loan officers, I would say it shouldn't differ between either of you. Both of you need to participate in expert positioning posts to show that you can speak to the struggles of what your referral partners are going through right now. You need to also showcase who you are and who you aren't. And then you do need to speak to your purpose and calling, because I do think where people really create a bond is when they can root for you. And if you haven't told them how to root for you or what it is that you're pursuing, I do think that harms their ability to really rally behind you.
It's powerful. That's a lot. That was good.
I do this all the time, so it's easy for me to rattle these things off.
Yeah. Awesome, Roland. I think that's it for the questions.
Cool.
I really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, and people can reach out to me, send me, just hit me up on Instagram. Messenger is usually the easiest way, or Facebook Messenger. But like I said, I'm an accessible dude. I'm happy to help.
You are.
I'm more than open to talking to. I know a lot of you will probably become at a point in your career where you'll be future clients, and so I'm happy to help, and I'm here to be as resourceful as possible. And I really do. I want everybody to know, like, I do this because I believe strongly. I wish I know I'm not old, but I wish I learned this even earlier, because there were some really painful years where I just hated my job and it was really hard to get business. And it just was so annoying. And I just wish I discovered this way of being, because it, in professional services, at least, it makes life, oh gosh, it just makes life so much better.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm so like, what I'm trying to say and what I get excited about what you're saying is, if you don't know what you don't know.
Correct.
And when people are stuck in their daily habits of just trying to get loans and the struggle and stuff, and they're not speaking to your point, being their true self, they're creating videos that really aren't them. And by the way, everybody can tell, there's a huge sense of freedom when you sign up for an event like yours and you realize what your true purpose is. And, at first, I'm just going to say, I was scared to spend any kind of money on personal growth. I'm just going to be real with you. And if it wasn't for Danielle, who signed up for me on something, when I found out how much it was, I didn't speak to her for probably 2 days, because I was like, how could you do this? But when I left, it was like, it just connected. It was like, oh my God, I have not been seeing things the right way. So I mean, it's huge.
It is. And especially in a time like right now, it's extra scary. But here's the thing: you would look at my program because it's not the most expensive, but I'm certainly not the cheapest. I'll just warn everybody that now. But again, I just asked a guy the other day. I said, "Well, how many loans?" I said, "How many loans do I need to get you to make it worth it?" And he was like, "Oh, like 1.8 a month." I was like, "Bro, like we're going to get a lot more than that. Like I wouldn't worry, that's and that's how everybody starts to need to think about it." And here's one last thing I'll leave for all the loan officers out there is, yes, up to 80% of the LOs are going to leave the industry, which a lot of you are like, woohoo, that's great. And that is great because for those of you who are taking this seriously and are hanging around and want to make this your long-term gig in your career, that is good news. It's always nice when 80% of people are leaving but here's the thing. They're not leaving by February of 24. They're leaving now. And so if you guys are like, whoa, I can't wait for February 24 when 80% are gone. No, 10 are leaving every day now. And if you are not in that top of those realtors who are now like, uh-oh, my loan officer's gone, who do I use? You're not going to get picked. So like you don't start in February, you start today. You start branding and digging your heels in today so that you acquire because they're going to be acquired up to February, not in February, just so everybody understands. So as this exodus is happening of loan officers, you need to be doing the stuff now to get the market share. Otherwise, I don't know if it's going to go to you, honestly. It could go to somebody else.
Well, that should fire everybody up right there.
Yeah, I hope so.
There it is. Well, awesome, man. I'm going to end the stream, but don't go anywhere. I want to say something to you.
Cool, please.
But I really appreciate you, Roland. And then in the group, I'll put all your contact information.
Yeah, please. Yep. Bye, guys.
Awesome.